A sudden car accident sends an office worker into another world. He wakes up already in a new body. Opening his eyes, he is horrified by the creature in front of him that clawed at his skin. The demon held strong, and then the hero decided that he couldn't just watch and wait for his death. Fearing for his life, the hero retaliated by biting the mystical creature. Drops of demon blood got on the jade pendant. Because of the mysterious changes began. The magic pendant covered in blood suddenly began to slowly change its color, sparkling with a bright green glow. The hero lay on the floor and watched as the magical actions of the pendant contributed to the demon's disappearance. While the hero was confused by the passing, an unknown man in a strict outfit appeared in front of him. The protagonist was assigned to the Jing Night Division. He became a hunter, dressed in dark attire that specialized in dealing with unexplained creatures. The hunter watched the dead man, realizing that he had died from overeating. I don't think I need to tell you exactly what they ate. Glancing back, he spotted an unfamiliar and suspicious beggar nearby. The hero watched the man and soon realized from the sly look in his eyes that something wasn't right here. The beggar took the form of the monster that had made a mess of the place. While the monster was in a daze from what was happening, the hunter had already dealt it a crushing blow and eliminated it. A young boy is pacing and carrying a lantern in his hand, which lights his way. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to a noise coming from one of the rooms. He peeks between the doors to the inside of the room, and what he sees causes him to panic slightly. Inside the room, he notices a young gentleman lying on the floor, unconscious. A small demon sits on his body, gnawing at his skin. The demon turns and looks around the guy from behind, scaring him with its gaze. Shocked by fear, the boy collapses from his feet. He tries to pull himself together and call for help. The guy quickly jumps to his feet and runs away, screaming for trouble. He throws his lantern, which soon bursts into bright flames. The demon tears the man's skin with fury with its clicks. A man wakes up with a sharp sensation of pain in his chest. Opening his eyes, he is horrified by the creature in front of him that clawed at his skin. Terrified, the hero tries to unhook the demon from himself with his hands, which proved futile. Fighting for his life, the boy clawed back at the demon. The guy's jade pendant was gradually getting dirty with drops of demon blood due to his bite. The blood-covered pendant suddenly began to change its color and shimmer with a bright green glow. The hero lying on the floor watched with incomprehension as the magic of the pendant caused the demon to disappear. Suddenly, two women burst into the room. One of them was concerned about the boy's condition and called him grandson. The guy remained perplexed on the floor, watching the women and trying to make sense of what was going on. He suddenly realized the memories after the transition, and one of the women turned out to be his grandmother. Mrs. Jun's face expressed excitement and tears, while the other woman remained indifferent to the situation. Gu Chen, adopting the words of the others, quickly got to his feet and, scratching the back of his head, argued that some demon was not capable of ending him so easily. Suddenly, the conversation is interrupted by a man entering the room, that he immediately sensed the demonic aura filling this house. Everyone takes notice of him, turning. Tei Tianying, standing in the aisle of the house, turned out to be a guard of the capital's Jing Night Division. Gu Chen takes an interest in the strange man, and after contacting his grandmother, learns that it is Mr. Tei from the Jing Night Department, which specializes in demon incidents. Tei Tianying inspects and walks around the house, feeling the strong flow of the yang energy of the Hao residence. The brooding guardian begins to suspect and worry that these energies are connected to the man. The alarmed young woman raises her voice at Mr. Tei and expresses doubt that any man dared to do this. Mr. T looks at the woman carefully and informs her that still the young master is lucky to be alive in such a situation. Gu Chen clenches his hands and looks at Tei Tianying, expressing his uncertainty that he can handle such a situation in the future. So he asks Mr. Tei to show him ways to save himself. Tei Tianying scrutinizes the guy and takes note of Gu Chen's boldness. Turning his back to Gu Chen, Mr. T points out to him two possible escape routes. Tei Tianying approaches the exit of the house and explains to Gu Chen about the first method, which is only a temporary defense. With a serious look, Gu Chen turns to Mr. Tei to inquire about the second method. Having already left the house, Mr. Tei offers the boy a second option, to join Jing's night unit. The silhouette of a tall man with a katana can be seen on the roof of the building. Gu Chen turns to Tei Tianying again to make sure this method will keep him safe. Guy thinks about Jing's night division, remembering that they specialize in dealing with evil spirits. Tei Tianying, talking to Gu Chen and turning his back to him, warns him that such a SPOS-B can be dangerous, but it will definitely teach him self-defense. Mr. T leaves Gu Chen with a choice and removes himself from the house. Following the gentleman, the elderly woman asks a disturbing question but gets no answer. The two women are about to leave the building, but one of them turns around and advises Mr. Gu to rest after what is happening. The guy is holding a jade pendant that had previously made a change. He recalls how this pendant, bought at the market, sent him to another world before a car accident. Gu Chen also remarks that the pendant contributed to the demon's disappearance earlier. The jade pendant abruptly starts to glow with a bright green glow in Gu Chen's hands, and it shocks him. He looks around sharply and realizes that the pendant has transported him to another dimension again. Gu Cheng notices in the distance the demon that attacked him earlier. He recalls his earlier thoughts about the pendant sending this demon to another world, and he turns out to be right. Gu Chen takes a look at the pendant, and while grabbing his head, he doesn't understand what's going on with this thing. He suddenly notices that the past demon is no longer aggressive towards him. It occurs to him that the pendant has additional powers. The demon abruptly lets out a shrill squeak and points the guy in some direction. Mr. Gu looks at the demon, realizing that he can probably help the Eam get out of here. The demon ends up on Gu Chen's shoulder, and the guy closes his eyes to focus and try to get out of this dimension. Through the green glow, he and the demon are thrown back to their previous world together. Lying on the floor with the demon, Gu Chen realizes that such an ability is too draining on spiritual energy, but he sees it as a great means of self-preservation. He turns around believing the demon to be useless, to which the demon reacts fearfully to his gaze. Suddenly, purple smoke begins to billow out of the demon. A ring begins to form from this smoke, within which two silhouettes, a woman and a man, can be seen. Inside the ring, there is a conversation going on. The woman is indignant that only the man is unaffected instead of Gu Chen, while the man is squirming and wondering why his soul demon has lost contact with him. Gu Cheng's face changes and realizes that his own aunt wanted to set up his murder. Gu Cheng practicing on the training ground of the Hao residence with Mr. Te. He concentrates on preparing to hit the rock in front of him. Suddenly, Gu Chen strikes the stone, splintering it. Mr. Te is surprised by Gu Chen's punch while he rubs his hand after the punch. Te Tianying praised Gu Chen's skills, believing that he had already initially crossed the cultivation threshold. The guy claims it's all thanks to the two techniques Mr. T gave him while showing him. Mr. T tells him that he's just a base, and advises Gu Chen to improve on his own to become better. Young Master Gu folds his hands in front of Te Tianyin understandingly. Te Tianying, looking at the split stone from the impact, asks Gu Cheng which path of the two he is going to choose. Gu Chen wonders if both can be practiced. Mr. Te asserts that human energy is limited, and it would be difficult to reach its peak. Mr. T talks about the 9 stages of martial arts, listing them. Te Tianying, turning his gaze to Gu Chen, suggested that he should practice martial arts first, and study qi refinement as an additional tool. Gu Cheng accepts his words, and afterwards asks what path he chose and at what level. Mr. T, holding his hand on the stone, cultivates a martial path, after which he abruptly turns around. A moment later, the stone shattered into small pieces, Te Tianyin demonstrating his 7th level martial arts, a bone-jarring strike that could shatter even gold. Gu Cheng is amazed at Mr. Te's skill. Shifting his gaze to Gu Chen, Mr. Te wondered why he had agreed to join the Jing Knight division if he was the son of the valiant Hao. Gu Chen argues that the world is in chaos, and no one can protect it but himself. Through the dust that rose from the stone, they watch each other. Te Tianying praises Gu Cheng for his ambitiousness. An elderly man appears behind Gu Cheng's back and informs him that his wagon is ready. The man bows slightly while folding his arms and says that it's time for Gu Chen to leave. Gu Cheng says goodbye to Mr. Te and he lets him go. With the sound of hooves, the horse stands with the wagon, preparing to ride. Grandmother carefully asks Gu Cheng to take care of himself when he arrives in Heian. The boy holds his grandmother's hand gently and begs her not to worry. Uncle Gu Cheng's second son, Gu Zheng, folds his arms and wishes him a happy journey. Gu Cheng puts his hand on his brother's shoulder and thanks him. Gu Zheng smiles at his brother in return. Gu Cheng ponders that his brother is the reason why his aunt wants to get rid of him. Auntie sighs heavily, saying that it's hard for her to see Gu Cheng leave so suddenly. Gu Chen looks at his aunt and asks not to worry, doubting this woman again. The cabman swings his whip and kicks the horse to get it going. The wagon comes into motion, moving away from the relatives. Gu Chen looks out of the carriage window and quietly whispers that he will still come back here. Already looking on with contempt, Gu Cheng says that he will return to trample this capital. Gu Cheng is riding in a wagon on a forest road. He sits in the wagon calmly and confidently. Suddenly, men appear in front of the carriage. The coachman stops the horse. The guy inside the wagon becomes wary. These men turn out to be outcasts, Han Ting and Wu Ganshi. The coachman informs Han Tin that Gu Chen is in the wagon and unarmed. Han Ting tells the cabman that he will get his reward later, but he suddenly cuts off his head. Wu Ganshi asks the second outcast if he can handle Gu Chen. With a glance back, Han Tinu answers him, to rely on him. Han Tinu walks lightly towards the cart that Gu Chen is in. With the edge of his katana, he lifts the cloth by the wagon. A small blue bag flies at him, but he only grins and prepares to cut it open. Swinging his katana and cutting open the pouch, he marvels at the contents inside it. He squints his eyes sharply and screams, realizing it's powder. Suddenly, from underneath the wagon, a sword thrusts at him at high speed. Jumping out of the carriage, Gu Chen pierces the other person's chest with his sword. Wu Ganshi, seeing Han Ting attacked, shouts and calls out to him. The wounded Han Tinu fell to the ground, surprised that Gu Chen turned out to have a weapon. Gu Chen only hums, looking down at the lying enemy. He mentally rejoiced that his jade pendant Tonga could store weapons, which helped to take his enemies by surprise. Wu Ganshi, seeing his brother being killed, rushes towards him and shouts. Gu Chen notices him, and with a strong and sharp kick, he throws Han Ting towards his brother. The body flies to Wu Ganshi and he expresses surprise as he looks at Han Ting. Gu Chen sneaks a glance at Wu Ganshi's back, but Wu Ganshi spots him. Gu Chen's strong produces a punch on the outcast's arm. Gu Chen is surprised that the sword strike didn't hurt Wu Ganshi's arm in any way. The bandages on Wu Ganshi's arm suddenly rose up and unraveled. A powerful clawed hand appears from beneath the bandages and instantly reaches for the guy. Wu Ganshi punches Gu Cheng's chest with a powerful kick that sends him flying off to the side. Stabbing his sword into the ground, Gu Chen stops and spits out a clot of blood. Wu Ganshi chuckled at the uselessness of Gu Chen's ordinary sword. Wu Ganshi's left hand has a demonic appearance. It is many times larger than a normal arm, and the arm has grown to the full height of an outcast. Gu Chen, with a hateful look, realizes that this is why Wu Ganshi's left hand is emitting a yin aura. He decides to deal with her first. The grim Wu Ganshi, raising his hand to himself, mocks Gu Cheng's inexperience. He claims that Gu Cheng doesn't stand a chance against his dead man's hand. Gu Chen realizes that the outcast's arm must be the vein-cutting technique. Wu Ganshi used his own blood to power the dead man's limb, and all the power is concentrated in it. Confident in his chance to win, Gu Cheng tells Wu Ganshi not to underestimate his opponent. Wu Ganshi bared his teeth, motioning towards Gu Cheng. He lunges at Gu Cheng, shouting threateningly. Gu Chen points his sword at Wu Ganshi without a doubt. Gu Cheng's sword met Wu Ganshi's massive arm in a powerful strike. Gu Chen's sword sagged under the force of the blow. Gu Chen warily hopes for the strength of his sword, and Wu Ganshi screams, wishing for the sword to break. Gu Chen's sword shattered into pieces with a rumbling and rattling sound. A surprised Gu Chen retreats, bouncing back. Wu Ganshi rushes forward, wishing for Gu Chen's death. Gu Chen summons a spirit demon. His jade pendant begins to emit a bright green glow. The pendant emitted a bright and powerful wave of magic, knocking the enemy off Wu Ganshi. The enemy returns to the earth, storming it with his feet. Wu Ganshi notices a small-sized demon on his chest. Wu Ganshi wonders how Gu Chen can control this demon if it is summoned at the 5th level. Gu Chen irritatedly says that Wu Ganshi is asking so many questions when he is already a dead man. Wu Ganshi, removing the demon from his chest, mockingly replies to Gu Chen that one demon will not harm him in any way. Gu Chen instantly moved to the side as Wu Ganshi spoke. Before Wu Ganshi knows it, Gu Chen is already near his hand, because his goal was not Wu Ganshi's life. Wu Ganshi gives a surprised glance at Gu Chen, who snuck up on him. Confident, Gu Chen grasps the idea that his Tongyi Jade pendant will absorb Wu Ganshi's hand since it is a ghost. Wu Ganshi's left hand becomes a black blob of magic that is absorbed by Gu Chen's pendant. Wu Ganshi lets out a surprised cry as he notices his dead man's hand disappearing. Gu Chen bounces back against the rogue's back. Gu Chen confirms his thoughts that the dead man's hand is the source of Wu Ganshi's strength. Only it took away a lot of his spiritual energy. Wu Ganshi screamed. Falling to his knees, he orders his hand back. Gu Cheng swept Han Ting's sword aside. He tosses the sword with his foot, answering the outcast. Pointing his sword towards Wu Ganshi, he ends his speech by saying that he will not return Wu Ganshi's hand. The sword pierces Wu Ganshi's chest, taking his life. Gu Cheng remarks that without Tongyi's jade pendant, he would die. Gu Chen leans over Han Ting's body, noticing the broken sword art from him. Gu Chen returns to the horse cart, realizing that he'd better move further down the trail to back up against the other enemies. He steps further and climbs the hill. Gu Cheng reads the broken sword technique. At first he thinks it is simple, but it is so versatile that it can robotize with other weapons. Gu Cheng finds it convenient. Gu Cheng walks through the forest, noticing that it's getting dark and he needs to find a place to rest. Suddenly, Gu Chen raises his gaze higher. A ruined building appears in front of the guy. He realizes that this place will be his resting roof today. It's already dark. Gu Chen steps inside the building. Gu Cheng notices a tall statue in front of him. The large statue's eyes glow. Gu Cheng circles the statue, intending to move on. Suddenly, the guy hears an unfamiliar voice and sees a sword that someone is pointing at him. Gu Chen sees your men near the bonfire and asks them not to worry, as he's just a passerby. The girl asks the man to put the sword away so as not to scare Gu Cheng. Gu Chen folds his hands with gratitude and bows slightly. The young girl gently nods to Gu Cheng. An elderly man offers Gu Cheng to warm himself by their fire. Gu Cheng thanks them again and sits by the fire, warming his hands. The small fire of the fire rustles, creating warmth inside the building. Suddenly a voice comes from behind, shouting for someone to go faster. A little girl walks into a building, noticing the many people inside. The unfamiliar man thinks there is no need to rest and asks the guy in front to move on. He shuts up when he sees other people, and the fact that he is no longer being listened to. A young boy along with a girl sat down next to the fire. He tells about himself and the name of his clan. Jian Hanlin was slightly embarrassed when the girl showed him her deference. The little girl, Han Jingjing told about herself and the scholar they met on the way to the capital. Gu Chen says of himself that he is an ordinary adventurer. Han Jingjing and the scholar fall silent and each look in their own direction. The young girl and her Uncle Lin don't interrupt the silence in the building either. The old man and a confused Jian Hanlin are warming themselves near the fire. There is absolute silence outside, and darkness envelops the forest. Han Jingjing lightly pats his palm with his fist and offers to tell stories. After all, the night is long, and one needs to pass the time. The scientist decides to be the first to tell the story about the tigers, since Mrs. Han likes it. He tells the story of how a ghost who was eaten by a tiger lured passers-by to him. The girl picks up on the anger of the ghosts who helped the tigers harm people. The scientist explains to her that it's not just ghosts. Gu Chen interrupts the conversation, wishing to tell a story. Gu Chen introduces himself as Zhan San and describes how he met passers-by at the temple while walking and engaged in conversation with them. Suddenly, someone looked over to Zhan San. He interrupted the conversation and turned around to see the man. A man looked over to him, wondering why Zhan San was talking to himself. He, not understanding, interrogated the man. When the man entered his place, Zhan San turned around and saw that the people around him were no longer there. Gu Chen finished his story. Han Jingjing hid behind Jian Hanlin's shoulder, suspecting that those people that Zhan San was talking to were ghosts. Gu Chen only said that she wouldn't know the truth. Jian Hanlin looked at Gu Chen silently. Suddenly, he vigorously folds his arms, calling other people's stories scary. He dares to tell his own story from personal experience. It tells how an evil Taoist Qi practitioner turned corpses into zombies. Jian Hanlin happened to be in Haitian County nearby. He ends the story by telling us that he defeated all the zombies with his sword. Jian Hanlin remembers how bright the moon was that night, how the stars and the wind were. He casts his gaze aside, comparing last night to tonight. It was already a humming night in the woods and the wind was beginning to pick up. Suddenly, a gusty wind blew into the building, opening the doors. Gu Chen looked back towards the door, noticing that something was happening in the courtyard. Zombies appeared in the courtyard, heading towards the building. Looking out, Gu Chen asked the guy if those were the zombies he was talking about. Jian Hanlin fearfully denied that there was no such thing. The zombies approached with a terrifying scream. Gu Cheng swept up that the zombies were weak, but it wasn't easy to deal with so many. Han Jingjing wanted to lend him her sword to deal with the zombies. Jian Hanlin squinted his eyes fearfully and embarrassedly, thinking that his sister was laughing at him. The young girl looked around, realizing that there wasn't much room in the building, and if the zombies gathered here, they wouldn't be able to handle them. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, dust rose, and rocks from the wall began to fly in all directions. Han Jingjing and his brother looked in the direction from where the rumbling was coming from. The girl also directed her gaze to the side, letting her realize what had happened. Gu Chen, making a hole in the wall, called out to follow him. The building burst into flames. Through the thick thicket of the forest, everyone runs from the zombies in terror. Gu Chen and the children are running ahead. Gu Chen and the children notice the zombies rushing nearby, chasing them at breakneck speed. Gu Chen is wary that the fire in the building didn't stop the zombies. The zombies rush on their hands and feet, darting forward. One of the zombies reaches his hand toward the girl, aiming to grab her. The girl notices with a serious look as the zombie's arm is suddenly cut off. The girl covers her face from dripping blood as Uncle Lin protects her from the zombies and asks her to be careful. Jian Hanlin pierces the zombie's head with his sword and informs him that their weak point is their head. Gu Chen cuts off the head of the zombie in front after listening to the guy's words. The scientist runs in terror after Gu Cheng. The scientist notices a path that leads to the descent of the mountain, pointing to it. He asks them to run after him. Jian Hanlin, hoping to be saved, takes her sister's hand to go together. Gu Chen, fighting zombies, yells at the kids not to follow the scientist because something is wrong with him. The disappointed scholar walks down the path, pointing out Gu Cheng's ingratitude, for he suspects him. The scientist walks down the path and the children take their time to follow him. Jian Hanlin holds her sister's hand and asks her to follow the scholar, but her sister hesitates. While Uncle Lin fights off the zombies, the girl explains that it's better to believe Mr. Gu. Gu Chen, swinging in for a punch at the zombie, claims that he said everything he had to say. Cutting the zombies apart, she finishes her speech that she can't do anything about the children's choices. Jian Hanlin yells for his sister to run forward while he holds off the zombies. Gu Chen, glancing back, does not expect anything good from this scholar. Someone with a powerful force throws Jian Hanlin away and he hits a rock. Gu Chen looks around warily at what's going on. Han Jingjing runs up to his brother with a cry as he tries to cough up after the blow. Gu Chen turned around, noticing that trouble had appeared. Through the thick thicket of the forest, something flew so high that it seemed to reach the moon. The demonic ghost landed on the edge of a cliff, standing firmly on its hind legs. The silhouette of a man could be seen behind the rock. Behind the rock, the scientist peered out, making his chuckling noise. Gu Cheng and his girlfriend remarked that what was happening was just like a scholar's story. Han Jingjing, worried about his brother, asks Gu Chen to save him. Gu Chen is thinking that the situation is critical now. If we lose Jian Hanlin, it will get even worse. Suddenly, the demonic ghost bounces off the rock with its paws, making a leap. He pounces on Han Jingjing, but she doesn't have time to notice him behind her back. The demon is startled by the sword strike next to him and bounces back. He goes back to the cliff he jumped from earlier. With his bright and red eyes, he notices that he has managed to get slightly hurt. Gu Chen stands in front of the children and criticizes the demonic ghost while defending them. Gu Chen looks back and asks John Hanlin to deal with the zombies while he's with the demon. John Hanlin, rising in pain, agrees with Gu Chen and asks to be careful. The demon rushes at Gu Chen with a loud roar. Gu Chen notices the powerful aura from the demon, deciding to use the broken sword technique. Gu Chen adopts the technique of the heavy sword form and produces a strike. The sword meets the demon's body, emitting a strong energy. Gu Chen, tensing up, realizes that the heavy sword form is a bad option, but quickly comes up with a suitable one. Gu Chen swiftly soared upward. While the demon was in a daze, Gu Cheng summoned the curse of the dead man's hand. Gu Cheng knocked the demon to the ground with a crushing blow. Gu Chen lowered himself to the ground. After the impact, all the sand rose up from the ground. The demonic ghost was completely crushed by Gu Chen's punch. Gu Chen didn't expect this hand to be so powerful. The power of the demonic tiger began to gravitate towards Gu Chen's body. This strength strengthened his body. Gu Chen began to guess that with each new demon kill, his strength would increase. Behind Gu Chen, a scholar was rejoicing in his freedom after the death of the demonic tiger. Gu Chen, looking at the scholar from behind, asked him what kind of freedom could we be talking about. The scholar is still the same ghost eaten by a tiger, so Gu Cheng produces a golden art seal, astral deity art. The scientist turns at the golden glow of the seal, misunderstanding. He cried out in fear, but the seal had already had an effect on his disappearance. The power of yin returns to Gu Cheng's jade pendant, and he realizes that it is the power that killing ghosts brings that is different. Gu Chen looks at his blistered hand and realizes that he would have no problem practicing 2 paths of cultivation at once. The girl glances back at Gu Chen. Gu Chen hears someone's groan from behind and directs his gaze back. Han Jingjing, defending himself and his brother from zombies, calls Gu Cheng for help. John Hanlin sees her sister failing and worriedly communicates to her. Suddenly, Gu Cheng kicks the zombie in its face with his foot. Gu Chen, with his leg kick, fends off the zombies from Han Jingjing. The zombie flies off into a tree after being hit by Gu Chen. Jian Hanlin anxiously ran to her sister to see if she was all right. A multitude of zombies surrounded them in the depths of the forest. Gu Chen turns to Jian Hanlin. Fighting zombies is not the answer. The guy, he says, needs to find whoever is controlling the zombies. Surprised, Gu Cheng interjects. Jian Hanlin loudly asserts that if you kill the one who controls the dead, they will fall. Gu Chen understands the guy and warily proceeds to look for this person. He picks up the side that most zombies are coming from. Gu Chen guesses that whoever is controlling the zombies must be there. In the distance, you can see the silhouette of an elderly man that controls these dead men. Gu Chen notices the man smirking. Gu Chen shouts to the children behind his back to try to hold off the zombie while he deals with the man. Jian Hanlin and Han Jingjing trust Mr. Gu and will help him. The young girl folds her arms, relying on Gu Cheng. Jian Hanlin and her sister are fighting off zombies. Jian Hanlin confidently strikes the zombie in front of him. Uncle Lin, fighting off the dead man, also supports Gu Cheng. Gu Chen fleetingly heads toward the man that controls all the zombies. He leaps high on a tree branch, after Gu Chen bounces off this branch further forward. He heads toward the man that controls the dead, addressing him. An elderly man laughs at Gu Cheng while raising his hands up in the air. After that, suddenly everything in the bushes rustled and stirred. Zombies jumped out of those bushes, eager to attack Gu Cheng. Gu Chen reacted quickly, summoning the dead man's cursed hand. With a large arm swing, he struck the zombies that tried to attack him. Gu Chen lands firmly on his feet and curses the dead man's hand in front of the man. The man is surprised by the dead man's hand, noticing that it belonged to Xiangxi Wu's family. While the man was chatting, Gu Chen rapidly shortened the distance with him, attacking. The man gets scared and with a loud shout asks Gu Cheng not to do that. He tries to communicate something about himself. Gu Chen confidently punches the man's head with his hand, throwing him into a tree. Gu Chen looks at the decapitated body, saying that it is none of his business who this person is. The children notice that the zombies stop moving and realize that Gu Cheng has done well. Gu Chen cautiously checks to see if the dead people really aren't moving anymore. John Hanlin fearfully points out to her sister about Gu Chen's ruthless blows, saying that the world is a dangerous place and you shouldn't trust everyone. His sister nerdily wonders why he believed the tutorial so much then. John Hanlin confusedly replies that little sister is already grown up and can't be raised anymore. The girl addresses the old man sternly, pointing out his guilt. He admits his mistake. With a blank stare, she asks him to kill himself next if it happens again. A few hours pass, the sun is already up. They finally make their way down the mountain, where the sun is already rising in the sky. Gu Chen folds his arms and says that this is the end of their journey. Sister waves to Gu Chen, wishing that he would teach her how to fight monsters when he gets the chance. Brother joyfully wishes him a good journey. The girl folds her arms and lowers her head, thanking Gu Cheng for his help. Gu Chen raises his hand and says goodbye to everyone. 3 days have passed since that time. The right hand of the head of the Jing Night Division, Kui Ziji, is interested in Gu Cheng, which was recommended to him by Te Tianying. Gu Chen sits on his knees with his hands folded, paying his respects to Mr. Chu. Mr. Kui reports that Gu Cheng has arrived on time, for they are short-handed. There are 2 warrior protectors standing beside him. He adds that because of the last mission, they lost a lot of people. Gu Chen is warily silent as he listens to Mr. Kui. He smiles slightly and tells Gu Cheng not to be afraid, because he will be working as a guard under the main night patrol, with whom he will be safe. Meng Hantan, the patrolman, folds his arms and expresses his displeasure that Gu Chen will be another one of his problems. Mr. Kui laughs lightly, assuring him that Meng Hantian is only seemingly so indifferent, asking him not to worry. He introduces Gu Chen to Xiao that he will be his partner from now on. But first he has to choose the path of the art of 9 classes. Xiao folds her hands in front of Mr. Kui, accepting his word. Gu Chen goes out into the courtyard with Xiao Yi. Zhang Xiao introduces himself to Gu Chen, saying that he can just call him Xiao. Gu Cheng thanks Xiao for his courtesy as he walks with him. Xiao walks ahead of Gu Cheng and points the way. Suddenly, a monster bursts out of the window of the building with an evil scream. The monster quickly calms down, and Gu Cheng doesn't realize where he came from in the G building. Gu Cheng goes to Xiao, wanting to know about it. Xiao quickly explains that Song Chengshun, who is flummoxed by the creature of uncleanness, is on a mission. He tells Gu Chen to ignore it. Gu Chen wondered if this low technique was sorcery. Xiao replies that Jing people only look at the result, not the process. They don't care about the useless rules that this method is fast to achieve. Gu Chen looks at the monster and realizes that it will be able to openly use its sorcery techniques in the future. Gu Chen is starting to like the way Jing's night unit operates. Xiao, opening the doors in front, shows Gu Chen the vault. He tells Gu Chen that all the technicians of the 9 classes are here. Gu Cheng conceives that his jade pendant allows him to absorb the chi of ghosts, and with its help, he will be able to cultivate both martial arts. Gu Chen chooses 1 technique each, fire sword and yin charka. Xiao remarks that Gu Cheng wants to choose the path of dual cultivation. Gu Cheng denies it, saying that he just wants to practice. Since Gu Chen is done picking, Xiao decides to take him to his room so he can rest. Xiao walks towards the exit and holding her head, talking about how there are a lot of missions lately and need to stock up on strength. Gu Chen looks back, asking Xiao when the missions by Jing Night Division show up. Xiao doesn't know exactly what informs Gu Cheng that there will definitely be tomorrow. It is already deep into the night. The moon reigns in the sky above the simple homes of the inhabitants. A drunken man grumbles as he walks into his home. He falls silent, peering into the corner of the room. His wife sits in the corner and loudly eats something on the floor. A man screams at a woman. A woman tells her husband in a strange and barely intelligible voice that she is hungry. He swears at his wife again, telling her to let him sleep. The woman gets up and, turning to the man, repeats that she is hungry and sees her husband appetizing. The man is abruptly startled, realizing that his wife is a demon. The man's loud cry causes the birds to fly out of the trees. The next day comes. The guards have been going around the houses since morning. People are discussing what happened to old Wang's house, since so many guards have gathered so early. Gu Chen and Xiao stand amongst the crowd of people, looking forward, and people look back at them. Xiao says that Gu Chen was unlucky, as he encountered the mission just a couple days after arriving. Gu Chen replies to him that it is for the best, because he will be able to familiarize himself with the night division early. The sentinel comes out of the house reporting that the case is very violent. Xiao folds her arms and bows to the people, claiming that this is the work of the unclean. Zhao Jingming and Wang Zizi, the dark warrior defenders, stand in front of them. Zhao Jingming says that the incident looks like a mass murder, but no ordinary person is capable of such a thing. Gu Chen is silent, and Xiao is surprised to wonder how bad it is. Xiao quickly stepped forward into the house, wanting to see what kind of picture had shocked the 2 brothers. Zhao Jingming says that if Xiao gets nauseous from what he saw, then let him come out right away. Xiao, on the other hand, asks brother Zhao not to worry. Xiao claims he's been a dark warrior defender for a long time and there's nothing he hasn't seen. Looking inside the house, Xiao is instantly shocked. He is immediately tedious and doesn't understand what it is. Zhao Jingming is not surprised by Xiao's reaction. Xiao catches a glimpse of Gu Chen confidently entering the house. Crouching down, Gu Cheng drew someone else's blood on his finger and rubbed it between his fingers. He stares firmly at the 2 mutilated bodies in front of him. Behind Gu Cheng's back, someone is surprised that he didn't even flinch at what he saw. Brother Zhao notices that Gu Chen is far from being a rookie. Gu Chen only asks how people were killed. After a short pause, Brother Zhao reported that the man had been gnawed. He goes on to say that the woman died of overeating. I don't think it's necessary to say that she had overeaten. Wang Zizi adds that the bad guys have tried their best here, and asks Xiao to check for traces of yin. Brother Zhao turns to Gu Chen and tells him that Xiao Yi practices qi and knows auxiliary types of talisman techniques. Gu Chen, looking at Brother Zhao, only said that he had already realized it. Xiao takes out a yellow seal, holding it with 2 fingers. Gu Cheng is watching him on the sidelines. Xiao summons the Dragon Aspiration Talisman, sending it forward. The Dragon Aspiration Talisman checks every body. Returning to Xiao, he reports to him what he has found. The Dragon Aspiration Talisman disappears, and Xiao reports that the house does indeed feel an aura of uncleanness. This aura has almost dissipated, and it is impossible to track down the ghost itself. Brother Zhao says the case is bad, not knowing where to look for this ghost next. Cheng has an idea, but he doesn't know if it's right. The brothers ask you to tell them about the idea, and then they'll think about it together. Chen tells us that the woman had to go somewhere to meet the ghost. Finding out the woman's whereabouts will lead to clues about the ghost. Xiao approaches Chen and explains that the woman has been to many places and it will be hard to find them. Cheng says to check his second conclusion. Chen turns to the guard at the entrance, asking about similar cases where people died from overeating. The guard turns around, saying that there have been a couple of cases lately. Chen confirms his conclusion. While leaving the house, Cheng asks Xiao to bring Luo's map. Xiao Yi wonders what he needs it for. Cheng confidently replies that it's to find the ghost. After walking a few streets, Cheng finds the ghost's location. Xiao marvels that Cheng was able to pinpoint the location right away. Chen, looking at the map, says it's just a little trickery. Chen tells us that he has plotted a trajectory on a map in the form of lines, and where their routes intersect is where the ghost is. Glancing back, Cheng spotted an unfamiliar and suspicious beggar nearby. Chen watched the man and soon realized from the sly gaze that something was not right here. Soon, all the people on Camping Street quickly disappeared. Xiao tells Cheng that all the people on the street have left. They approach a beggar sitting on a small blanket with a large jug. Xiao is surprised, guessing that this beggar is the ghostly being they are looking for. Chen corrects Xiao that it is not a beggar ghost creature. He says that the pot in the beggar's hands is what they were looking for. Wan Ziz steps forward and turns around, asking why the others are frozen and calling them to say hello to the beggar. Wang Zizi moves closer to the beggar, and the latter asks him for some water, holding out his hand. Wang Zizi steps back, noticing the dark smoke coming out of the pot. Brother Zhao promises the beggar that he will give him some rice if only he will show them the pot. The beggar takes the pot in his hands, claiming that they are not giving him anything, but only want to steal his treasure. He screams that they deserve to die, smashing the pot on himself. Cheng notices that things are bad. The beggar begins to be possessed by an unknown force. The brothers inform us to be careful. The beggar increases in size, his body changes density, and he gets to his feet. A huge monster stands in front of them with a second mouth on its stomach. He looks at them, chuckling. Abruptly getting on all fours, the monster produces a powerful scream with a stream of energy. Xiao assumes that this creature is a 7th level spirit. The monster's hand swiftly reached for them, and Brother Zhao shouted for them to move back. He produces a secret white bone teaching, creating a bone shield. The creature hits Zhao Jingming's shield, knocking it aside. Brother Zhao slows down. Messages for everyone to be ready. Wang Zizi prepares to strike and pounces on the monster. The creature turns around and kicks Wan Zniz aside, giggling loudly. Zhao Jingming once again produces the secret white bone teaching, summoning the bone chain. The chain moves swiftly toward the monster and grabs it by each leg. Xiao takes out some seals, summoning a yin-yang talisman and directs it towards the monster. When the talisman is above the monster, Xiao orders it to fall. The talisman falls, pinning the monster to the ground. Xiao Krikam informs Chen that it is now his turn to act. Chen quickly advances towards the monster with his sword. He summons a flaming sword, letting it enter the monster's neck. Xiao notices that things are starting to work out, but Wan Jing sees that something is wrong. Chen, thrusting his sword into the monster's neck, said that the monster's body is strong. The monster laughed again. Its neck twisted and became many times longer. Chen is surprised not to realize what's going on. Chen sees how the monster's neck has gotten bigger and longer. Suddenly the monster shows his tongue. Chen mentally curses the demon. The creature's tongue abruptly became longer, aiming to grab Chen. Chen fends off the monster's tongue with his sword and bounces back, sizing up the creature's mighty strength. The monster growls angrily, tearing off the bone chains and rising to its feet. The brothers are clamoring for caution because the yin power of this monster has increased. Xiao is surprised that it is that particular hunger demon. The demon, noticing Xiao, abruptly pounces on him for a punch. Chen anxiously shouts for Xiao to dodge the demon. Xiao, on whom the demon pendant is already flying, interjects Cheng. Suddenly the demon's hand is knocked back by another man's sword. Lord Meng forcefully withdraws the demon's hand and says that he will deal with him himself. The brothers happily notice Mr. Meng. Mr. Meng easily cuts off the demon's arm with his sword. Xiao Yi is surprised at Mr. Meng's skills. Chen seriously asks Xiao if he's hurt, and he replies that he's fine. And since Mr. Meng is here, they can have tea. Mr. Meng lands on the ground after cutting off the demon's hand. The enraged demon roars, and Mr. Meng runs at him for the next blow. With deft movements, Mr. Meng strikes both of the demon's hands. Chen was surprised at how fast Mr. Meng's sword moved. Xiao enthusiastically confirms that Mr. Meng is the fastest swordsman in Hyungyang province. Suddenly, the demon knocks Mr. Meng aside. Xiao abruptly falls silent while watching Mr. Meng. Chen notices how Xiao directly has every chance of becoming useless. Brother Zhao decides to help Mr. Meng. He summons a secret doctrine, a bone spear, preparing to throw it. He throws it at the demon with the words for the spear to pierce the demon. Suddenly, the spear stops at the demon's tongue. Brother Zhao notices that the demon has caught his bone spear. Mr. Meng's sword flies in circles and fleetingly clips the demon's tongue. Brother Zhao's bone spear falls to the ground. Mr. Meng, holding his sword tightly, stands on the ground after his strike. The demon's tongue becomes smaller and it growls unhappily. Gu Chen notices that this is a great chance and heads towards the demon. Gu Chen jumps up and summons the cursed dead man's hand, aiming his fiery sword. Gu Chen notices Mr. Meng on the other side, which is also preparing to strike. Gu Chen calls for the fire sword song, while Mr. Meng calls for the ice blade. Together they slit the demon's neck and its head flies off. Xiao and the brothers go into mild shock at what is happening. The defeated demon falls to the ground. Xiao remarks that the division's missions are indeed dangerous. A new power comes out of the demon's body. Gu Chen's jade pendant absorbs this power. Gu Chen notices that this is the power gained from killing the hunger demon. The pendant absorbs two streams of power. One is the yin force, and the other strengthens Gu Cheng's physical body. Mr. Meng notices Gu Chen's 8th level of inner learning. Xiao congratulates Gu Chen on reaching the 8th level. Gu Chen looks back at him, saying that it was all by luck. Mr. Meng orders the brothers to finish the work. The brothers fold their arms and bow behind Mr. Meng's back. Mr. Meng turns to Gu Chen to follow him. Mr. Meng goes with Gu Chen, telling how he originally didn't see the potential in Gu Chen. Mr. Meng informs him that Gu Chen will receive great merit for this mission. He communicates to report back to the Jing department later. Gu Chen thanks him while folding his arms. Mr. Meng asks Gu Chen to look into Jing, as there will be time to pick out 2 more techniques. Gu Chen understands everything. Gu Chen reasoned that Mr. Meng is a soulful person, and working under his superiors does not cause any problems. 3 days go by. Xiao remarks that after the demon incident, the streets are fine. Gu Chen says that the street patrols can be finished then. Xiao wondered at Gu Cheng's choice of techniques. Gu Chen replies that he chose the Bone Cleansing Treatise and the Golden Glow Seal for demon suppression. Xiao mentions that the Bone Cleansing Treatise will give a foundation for inner strength, and the second one will help with cultivators. This combination is really good. Xiao is impressed that Gu Chen is so gifted and yet works so hard. Gu Chen calls Xiao too modest. Xiao notices that Gu Chen, unlike Zhao Jingming, likes to sleep in brothels. He doesn't understand why it should cost money if it's just sleeping. Gu Chen awkwardly says that he will learn about such things when he is older. Xiao notices something going on in the crowd of people. Gu Cheng offers to look. A man complains to a vendor about the vendor clamping a pear on him. The vendor says he is just a small vendor and asks the man not to cause trouble. The man yells that if she doesn't give him a pear, he'll grow it himself. He opens his pitcher, pouring out an unknown liquid from there. From the ground watered with this water, the sprout of a tree grows rapidly. Immediately, a tree with pear fruit grows. A man encourages the crowd to take as many pears as they want from the tree. A merchant notices that his goods are missing. He falls to the ground and cries out that his pears are missing. His tears begin to flow, for he had to sell them to pay for his mother's treatment later. The man taunts the trader, saying it will be a lesson to him. Xiao motions to the man and tells him how horrible he is. Gu Chen stops Xiao and tells him not to worry, because he will teach him a lesson. Gu Chen approaches the man and informs him that this is their territory and how dare he behave so brazenly. Gu Chen, with a stern face, will forgive the man to return the pears to the merchant if he realized his mistake. The man asks if Gu Cheng has any complaints about what he's doing. Gu Chen takes the sword in his hands. Gu Chen points his sword at the man, saying how dare the man call himself great in Gu Chen's presence. It seems to Gu Cheng that the man is sick of living. Gu Chen assures him that she can help him with that then. Gu Cheng has suspicions that the man has ties to dark forces. The man laughs and calls Gu Chen and Xiao Mutz, after noticing that they are from the Jing Knight division. Gu Chen emphasizes another violation of the man. The man abruptly bounces back from Gu Cheng. 2 seals appear in the man's hands. He claims that Gu Cheng doesn't have the strength to overpower him. The 2 seals gain power. The man calls out to the diamond priest that he was protecting him. Xiao is surprised at what is happening, turning to Gu Chen. A diamond priest appears behind the man that will sell them a lesson. Xiao offers his help, as it won't be easy to deal with this priest. Gu Cheng refuses Xiao's help. The man cried out unhappily, for Gu Chen called his technique ostentatious and simple. The diamond priest reached for Gu Chen, gathering to hit him. Gu Chen quickly bounces back and diamond priest misses. Gu Chen jumps higher, summoning a secret technique. He produces a fire sword song, rift, and attacks the diamond priest. The man is tossed aside after taking a heavy blow. Gu Chen is causing him a lot of frustration. Suddenly, a long whip reaches for Gu Cheng. Xiao manages to notify Gu Cheng of the danger. Gu Chen notices this long whip behind his back. He ducks and the whip hits home. Gu Chen calls the man's reception mean-spirited. A man who holds the whip tightly. He grudgingly says to Gu Cheng not to dare underestimate him. Gu Chen raises his sword and once again produces the broken sword technique, the resolution whip. The white snake reaches for the man on his whip to strike. She bites the man's hand and he lets go of the whip, screaming in pain. He bounces back against a tree, holding onto his wounded arm. The man marvels that dark warrior defenders have such power. Gu Chen folds his sword back. He asks the man to finish resisting and go with him if his brain is still there. The man shouts that he will not surrender to them, putting another seal to his forehead. There is a violent explosion and smoke rises. With a loud laugh, two identical men jumped out of the smoke. They both yell that they're real and call for Gu Chen to catch them. Xiao asks Gu Cheng what to do next. Gu Cheng tells him that he should try to find out which one is the real one. Gu Chen looks back at his jade pendant and urges the spirit demon to come out. A spirit demon appears, which immediately heads towards the man. He digs into the chest of one of the men, diligently trying to eliminate him. Suddenly, this doppelganger disappears, exploding. The man is surprised to be discovered so quickly. The demon falls to the ground after the doppelganger disappears. The demon stares in bewilderment at the piece of cloth he bit off of the man's doppelganger. Gu Chen calls the old man's stunts funny and childish. A man suddenly jumps from the roof of the house to the ground. Gu Chen notices the man wanting to escape and urges Xiao to go in pursuit. They run after the man, informing him that he has nowhere to run. Suddenly, Gu Chen takes out his sword and throws it towards the old man. The old man manages to dodge and the sword hits the wall of the building. The man takes a quick step to get off his feet. Gu Chen notices how skittish the old man is. Xiao informs Gu Chen that this Taoist priest must be a member of the Luo cult. Gu Chen looks around and asks Xiao about the Luo cult. Xiao talks about the three main cults, Luo, White Lotus, and Maitreya. They are strong in the use of illusions, which though they may not kill, can shake the mind of anyone. To prevent the cultists from disturbing the peace of the great Qian kingdom, 500 years ago, the authorities sent troops to Liu Tian to stop them. In recent years, however, there have been signs of opposition to these three cults. Gu Chen asks Xiao why they would show up here, since Eastland County is not within Luo's sphere of influence. Xiao says that if Gu Chen can't understand, then neither can I. We should tell Mr. Meng first. Xiao walks into the building, alerting the master that they are back. He notices the wounded gentleman and immediately changes his face. Xiao asks what happened to Mr. Meng. Mr. Meng looks back at Xiao and Gu Chen. Mr. Meng says that they have received information that a disciple who escaped from the Luo sect has arrived here. Wan Jing and Zhao Jingming are standing next to him. He and Commander Tsui set up an ambush to capture him. To Mr. Meng's surprise, the disciple was so strong that he managed to break through their weapons. But he was peppered by Commander Tsui's purple beam. It passed through his body, burning his heart. So now the enemy had to hide in Luo to heal his wounds. Mr. Meng says that orders have come from the top that if they can kill this Luo cult imposter, they will be rewarded. Gu Cheng remarks that the reward is greater than for the hunger demon. It seems that this rebel is very important. Xiao informs Mr. Meng that they have found a Luo cult Taoist, but he has escaped. Mr. Meng thinks he can also look for the traitor Luo. We need to spend some money. Wang Jing says that Luo County is so big that it won't be easy to find someone who is good at hiding. Mr. Meng informs him that there is no need to delay, for the past may soon depart and escape. Gu Cheng gets an idea that might work. Lord Meng asks him to tell him about it. He says that there are definitely underground guilds in Luo County, and with the help of the status in the night division, they can be picked up. Mr. Meng thinks this is a good idea, because with their numbers and experience, they have a better chance of finding the traitor Luo. Mr. Meng asks Wang Jing to take it up with Gu Chen, and the others will help. Gu Chen asks Wang Jing how many underground guilds there are in Luo County and which ones can help. He replies that Luo County is worthy of many bigger and not so big guilds, but the only worthy guild is the Blue Flower Clan. The guild controls underground gambling and brothels. The latter is the responsibility of the head of Hua Qing. This man was traumatized at an early age when he got into a fight with someone, as a result of which he became somewhat erratic. Lei Peng, the deputy head of this guild. This person is a strong fighter and is second only to Hua Qing in terms of prestige in Blue Flower. Hua Qing trusts this man so much that he left all the gambling business to him. Wan Jing tells him that these two are not the weak kind, and if outwardly they agree with them, one cannot be sure that they will really help with the search. Gu Chen thinks about how it's problematic if they stall on purpose. We need to think of a safe way. Gu Chen asks Wang Jing how strange Hua Qing is. He hesitantly says into his fist that he's embarrassed to tell them this. Xiao and Gu Chen, misunderstanding, look at Wang Jing. Blue Blossom Training Grounds. A man picks up a stick with two large stones at the ends of it. He sighs with heaviness. Lei Pen lifts a dumbbell. Hua Qing sits behind the training beam, sighing in surprise. Lei Peng looks back towards Hua Qing. Hua Qing rises up and says that the deputy's body has been getting stronger and stronger lately. Xiao and Gu Chen are awkwardly silent. Wan Jing says that Hua Qing kept hinting to Lei Peng, but Lei Peng paid no attention to him. Xiao and Gu Cheng didn't expect that Hua Qing would have these kinds of predilections. Wan Jing adds that Lei Peng's subordinates are lucky, but not as lucky. Many have suffered at the hands of Hua Qing. Hua Qing asks his subordinate why he is crying because he was told he would be held accountable. Zhao Jingming says that Lei Peng is an excellent fighter who became unlucky to have such a head. Gu Chen pauses for a moment. Gu Chen offers to push the boat downstream and do favors for Lei Peng. Mr. Meng asks Gu Cheng how he is going to do this. Gu Chen says that even though Hua Qing and Lei Peng live in peace and harmony, Lei Peng is sure to harbor a grudge in his heart. Xiao slaps his palms together. He realizes that if he helps Lei Peng to straighten out Hua Qing, then the latter will be indebted to the Night Division. And the time will come, they will ask for help, then Lei Peng will not be able to refuse. Gu Chen, looking at Xiao, confirms his words. Mr. Meng asks when Gu Chen is going to light that fire. Gu Chen replies that this requires Xiao's help. Xiao interjects Gu Cheng, pointing to himself. It was a warm night outside. Girls from the window of the building invite passersby to join them. Hua Qing lies pensively, and a man sits near his feet. The man tensely kneaded Hua Qing's legs. Suddenly, Hua Qing slaps the man's cheek with her step. A disgruntled Hua Qing kicks the man away. The man immediately leaves, apologizing. He runs out of the room with joy on his face. The girl in the dress looks back at the man. Hua Qing complains that none of these people are sincere. The girl turns to the head of the hall, saying there's some weirdo outside and it's simple to look him up. Hua Qing looks back at the woman, asking about the weirdo. At the same time, Gu Chen and Xiao have... The women are revisiting and discussing something amongst themselves. Gu Cheng is sitting with Xiao. Xiao offers him a drink, pretending to be a girl. Gu Cheng thanks him for the courtesy. One of the girls approaches them, offering to prepare the best girls at home for him, since it's their first time here. Gu Chen is a little rude to her. The girl falls awkwardly silent. He asks them to calm down, because they won't do without their silver anyway. Hua Qing asks Gu Cheng not to be angry with his narrow-minded subordinates. Hua Qing says that if the guest is dissatisfied, he will definitely side with him, and then the subordinates will apologize sincerely. Gu Chen replies that it doesn't matter to him since they upset his companion. Xiao hums frustratedly. Hua Qing covers her face with a fan, pensive. Hua Qing doesn't understand why Gu Cheng came to the brothel since he doesn't have a thing for women. Gu Chen says it's only to teach his companion new tricks. Xiao embarrassedly pats Gu Cheng's chest, playing along. Hua Qing is surprised to notice how obedient Xiao is. Gu Chen reaches for the bowl and takes it, continuing the conversation. He says that before that, Xiao was also a normal man and was not obedient at all. Gu Chen reveals that in order for Xiao to become what he looks like now, he undertook a little trick. Hua Qing is interested in finding out more about it. Gu Chen laughs slightly and replies that he will tell for Hua Qing's sincerity. Lei Peng loudly puts the drink bowl down on the table, asking Gu Chen and Wang Zizi. Wang Zizi says that when he came to the brothel, he heard that Hua Qing wanted to give Lei Peng a poison that would turn him into a willless slave. Wang Zizi says he came to tell about it because he couldn't bear to watch Lei Peng being openly insulted. A wary Lei Peng asks Wang Zing not to joke about such things. Wang Zizi points at Gu Cheng and says that how can he joke about such a thing, because Gu Cheng was also there and heard it. Gu Cheng bows down and confirms every word Brother Wang said. Gu Chen raises his palm and says that if there is a single drop of lie in his words, let him be struck by thunder. Wang Zizi looks back at Gu Cheng, thinking that he is not worthy of bearing the name given to Gu Cheng by his parents. The people near Lei Peng say that knowing Hua Qing, it can be assumed that he would use such a sneaky method against Lei Peng, because their brothers received poison tea from him. Another subordinate comes to the entrance, about to report information. He turns to the deputy head of the hall, saying that Hua Qing has prepared the dinner table and asks Lei Peng to report to his residence for a talk. Lei Peng understands and replies that she'll be right there. Some of the people notice that Hua Qing has made the first move himself. Gu Chen wonders if the head is going to act tonight. Lei Peng is silent, expressing dissatisfaction. The subordinates are screaming that it's time to deal with Hua Qing rather than tolerate the way he rides them. Lei Peng slams his fist sharply on the table. He irritably says Hua Qing's name. Wang Zizi and Gu Chen look back and forth between them. Wang Jing reports that the Night Division has long disliked Hua Qing's behavior, so Lei Peng can safely ask them for help if he needs it. Lei Peng rises and pats the table again, asking for their help. Gu Chen looks at the deputy hall head carefully. Hua Qing Residence. It's already time for the meeting. Hua Qing holds the decanter in her hand and sighs, waiting. Hua Qing carefully pulls out the stopper from the decanter, opening it. He recalls Gu Cheng saying that this medicine is called obedient powder. You have to put a little bit of it in a person's food, and he will be determined to be with you all his life. Hua Qing pours the contents from the decanter into the pitcher. Hua Qing gently asks the deputy hall head not to blame him as he loves him too much. Suddenly he hears a sound behind him and quickly hides the decanter in his clothes. The doors to the house open quickly. Lei Peng greets the head of the hall, folding her arms. Hua Qing is surprised that the true deputy hall head has come and asks him to take a seat. Lei Peng takes a seat at the table with Hua Qing. Hua Qing pours wine into the bowl, saying that the deputy must be thirsty in his throat after the road. He moves the bowl toward Lei Peng, offering him a drink. Lei Peng looks warily at the wine bowl. He picks up the bowl, addressing the head of the hall that he has been very busy lately, and Lei Peng is upset about it. He offers him a glass of wine first. Hua Qing turns away, saying that it's all nothing and let the deputy drink first. Lei Peng wondered why the head of the hall was being so evasive and if he had added something to the wine. Lei Peng cites the obedient powder as an example, and Hua Qing is wary in surprise. Hua Qing anxiously asks if the deputy hall head is joking. Lei Peng clenches the bowl in his fist, causing it to crack. He cries out that he had been patient with Hua Qing in everything, however. He had become deceitful to others too often. Hua Qing falls into shock even more. Gu Chen and Xiao abruptly throw off their hats. Gu Chen bursts into the conversation, turning to Lei Peng to end Hua Qing already. Hua Qing is surprised to recognize Gu Cheng. Gu Chen asks Hua Qing if the latter knows that it's a good idea to close your mouth before you die, calling his name. Hua Qing throws all the food off the table, turning to Lei Peng. Gu Chen pulls out his sword. He points his sword towards Hua Qing, saying that in such a situation, Hua Qing doesn't need to resort to tricks, because nothing will work, and he will die anyway. Lei Peng uncrosses his arms, asking Hua Qing to calm down. Hua Qing remarks that they have been planning this for a long time. Hua Qing looks back at them, saying that he has no intention of dying. He pounded the table, yelling that it was beyond them. He topples the table toward Gu Chen and Lei Peng. Gu Chen notices that the man is resisting. Gu Chen quickly cut the table into 2 pieces with his sword. Gu Chen notices something wrong. Hua Qing reaches for the sword on the wall, pulling it out. He turns around with sword in hand, threatening Gu Chen. Gu Chen quickly loomed over him. Gu Chen summons the broken sword technique and Hua Qing the dark sword, Night Wind. Their swords meet with a loud noise, executing blows. They both get light scratches on their cheeks from the blows. Hua Qing finds herself with her back to the deputy head of the hall. Lei Peng looms over Hua Qing for a punch, wishing him dead. Hua Qing looks around and tries to delay someone else's strike with her sword. After Lei Peng's strike, Hua Qing is thrown aside with his sword. He yells in surprise, not understanding. Hua Qing is thrown out the window of the building into the courtyard. Hua Qing goes to the ground after a powerful strike from Lei Peng. Gu Chen reports that Hua Qing won't be able to save herself by simply dodging. Hua Qing notices that these fighters are well trained, and he won't be able to get rid of them so easily. He has to figure out how to get out of here. He gets to his feet and looks around, spotting 2 guys. Hua Qing realizes that the Night Division has been putting sticks in his wheels from the beginning. Wang Zizi and Zhao Jingming explain that Hua Qing realized this too late. Hua Qing is about to run away, saying how can the Night Division consider themselves good people after this? Behind the tree, Gu Chen can be seen saying that he can handle Hua Qing himself. He adds that Hua Qing cannot escape. His sword blazes with a bright flame. Gu Chen exits, informing Hua Qing that this is where his journey will end. Hua Qing stands in front of Gu Chen, saying that Gu Chen is just a dog of the Night Division and that he thinks too highly of himself. He screams that whoever dares stand in his way will die. Hua Qing calls for the dark sword technique, the 8 sides of the world. Gu Chen notes that this sword action is powerful. Hua Qing leapt upwards, pointing her swords towards Gu Chen. Gu Chen confidently prepares to strike back at Hua Qing. Wang Jing and Zhao Jingming warily watch the incoming man. Suddenly, waves of powerful impact threw them aside. Gu Chen stands up on his own 2 feet confidently. He puts his sword back down after the smoke cleared. Wang Jing and Zhao Jingming go into a slight shock at what is happening. Gu Chen's punch struck a portion of Hua Qing's body. He looks back at Gu Chen, saying that it's impossible. Gu Chen looks back up as he says goodbye to Hua Qing. Hua Qing shoutingly claims that even if he dies, he will drag Gu Chen with him. Hua Qing spits out a clot of blood from her mouth. Hua Qing laughs, and something starts to form from the blood clot. Hua Qing cries out that this bloody baby he traded from the shaman for his life. Today was the perfect day to make the sacrifice. With blood forming a baby, Hua Qing adds that she and Gu Chen will burn in hell together. Gu Chen calmly summons the demonic hand of the dead man. The bloody infant abruptly pounces on Gu Chen. The small creature loudly starts crying, barely reaching Gu Chen. Gu Chen eliminates this bloody infant with a light punch of his hand. Gu Chen wipes his ear, calling the infant too noisy. Hua Qing's weakened body falls to the ground. Hua Qing admiringly notices how strong Gu Chen is. Lei Peng walks over to Hua Qing's dead body. His subordinates rejoice that Hua Qing is no more. They embrace tearfully, saying that heaven has heard their prayers. Xiao wonders why those people are crying. Gu Chen only awkwardly replies that they are all people with special life experiences here. Lei Peng thanks the Night Division brothers for their help. Gu Chen replies that fighting evil is the Night Division's main task. Lei Peng says he is now indebted to the Night Division. He asks to be contacted if there is anything he can help with. Gu Chen replies that there is one matter that Lei Peng's help is needed with. Lei Peng asks them not to be shy and tell them about their request. Gu Chen wants to ask for help to find one magician, one Luo Jiao. Xiao Yi folded his arms and fell silent, expressing his displeasure. Gu Chen calms Xiao down while holding a bowl. Someone is making their way toward the house with a quick stride. Wan Jing swings the doors open and reports the news from Lei Peng that the man has shown up. Xiao excitedly asks where that mage is. Wan Jing replies that unexpectedly, this youngster was hiding in a brothel. Gu Chen notes that this is great news, and asks to immediately gather the men of the Night Division to capture this magician Luo Jiao. Mr. Meng reports that he will also go with them. Gu Chen wants to talk about Mr. Meng's injury, but he interrupts and says it's not a problem. Wang Jing tells Mr. Meng that Lei Peng has learned some clues that the other rebels were also looking for Luo Jiao. He asked if these people would cause them problems. Mr. Meng replies that if they come, they will catch them, which will save them a whole lot of hassle. It's deep night outside. Luo Jiao is sitting in a brothel room. Next to him at the table is a disgruntled girl. Luo Jiao concentrates. A magical power emanates around him. He cries out the beginning of all beginnings, asking the pure earth to bless his body. Suddenly, Luo Jiao coughed up blood. He realizes that he needs to heal his wound before they come to him, as the night division continues to hunt him down. The girl snuggles up to Luo Jiao, wondering why he doesn't want to move in with her if he lost all his savings. The girl snuggles closer, promising to show the guy lots of tricks that he will definitely like. Luo Jiao gave the girl a stern look, ordering her to get out of here. The girl grumbles unhappily at Luo Jiao, about to leave already. She slams the door shut and removes herself from the room. She continues to talk to herself, folding her arms unhappily. Suddenly, the girl's mouth is covered with the palm of her hand and dragged away. Xiao pulls the girl to him, holding her tightly. The girl notices other people and gets more scared. Gu Chen looks around and asks the girl to be quiet. The girl mooed fearfully and Xiao continued to cover her mouth. Luo Jiao suddenly became alarmed when he heard sounds outside the door. Gu Chen, Wang Jing, and Zhao Jingming stand near the door, preparing to go inside. Gu Chen abruptly opens the door with his foot. He walks in and yells to the mage Luo Jiao not to try to escape again, because they will capture him anyway. Gu Chen notices Luo Jiao already trying to escape. Luo Jiao is about to jump from the window, saying that Gu Chen is incapable of catching him. Gu Chen realizes that things are bad. Luo Jiao immediately jumped out of the window of the building after his words. He's landing solidly on the ground. He notices a sharp splinter flying at him. Luo Jiao catches the palm of his hand, preventing a strike to the body. Luo Jiao notices Mr. Meng in front of him again, turning to him irritably. I'll end here. So guys, if you like this video and want to see more videos, let's get 1,000 likes for this video. Also subscribe to the channel, click on the bell, and leave a comment. Until the next video.